What we have here is a sample of double crochet done in rows, going back and forth, and this is done in the traditional method, and as you can see at the ends of the rows there are big gaps. This is how this one is done, and this one is the traditional method that's touted by a lot of books that you'll find. When you're ready to go to start the next row, you chain 3, turn, yarn over. Don't insert in the first hook in the first stitch, but insert your hook in the second stitch. Yarn over, yarn over, yarn over. And you can see there we have the big gap. And I'm now ready to work the last stitch, and the instructions are to work the last stitch in the top of the turning chain, which is kind of difficult to get your hook in the top of the turning chain if you crochet too tightly. And if you don't crochet tightly, then that chain 3 is even bigger, making an even bigger gap, so you struggle to get your hook in there. Okay, the last double crochet of that row is now complete. So once again, this sample shows the big gaps at the ends of the rows. Another method to try to close those gaps is, instead of chaining 2 or chaining 3, you chain only 2, and also work in the second stitch, not the first stitch. And that did close the gap somewhat. And now I'm ready for the last stitch of the row, and this is the place where I did a chain 2 instead of a chain 3, but I still have the challenge of getting my hook into that top chain. I could have probably overcome this by just crocheting looser. But that definitely, these 2 rows are the ones that have the chain 2 turning chain. That definitely helped close the gap, but it's not completely closed. See right there? There's still a gap. Here's another method that I've seen for overcoming the gap. Pull your loop up about to the same height as a double crochet, turn your work, yarn over, insert your hook into the same first stitch, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Let's see how that looks when we come back around. Okay, I've completed the end of that row. This stitch right here is the one that we kind of did a twisting action and then worked into the very first stitch. Now let's do that again. Pull up the loop to the height of a double crochet, turn the work, yarn over, insert the hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2 more. Okay, I'm going to work to the end of the row, and we'll see what it's like when we work into that stitch. Okay, I have now worked to the end of this row, and let's see what it's like to work into that stitch that we made at the beginning. Yarn over, insert your hook under the 2 loops of the V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through twice. Okay, let's see how that looks. There's a little bit of a slanting angle to that stitch there, but that could be acceptable. But let's try something else. All right, this method is stacking 2 single crochets on top of each other. So don't chain up, but rather turn your work clockwise. Insert your hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through to make a single crochet. Then insert your hook in under the left strand of that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again to make 2 single crochets. And these 2 single crochets are stacked one on top of another. And continue on as normal with that row, and I'll show you what happens when we come back around. Alright, I worked to the end of that row, and let's do that again so you can see how that one is done. Don't chain up, turn your work clockwise, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and make a single crochet. And insert your hook behind the left loop of that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again to make a single crochet. So we've stacked 2 single crochets on top of each other. Alright, I have worked to the end of that row, and I'm now about ready to work into the stitch that is just like the one that we did on this end, where we stacked 2 single crochets on top of each other. So you can see where the top of the stitch, the top single crochet is. You put your hook under the 2 loops of the V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's see how that looks. Actually, that looks quite good. But on the backs of these 2 stitches, this is the back of this one, and this is the back of this one. It looks kind of bunched up, and there are some extra strands. So I have another idea that I just discovered myself that makes it look just a little bit better. Okay, what I'm going to do is remove the hook, insert it back into the same loop in the opposite direction, then turn the work clockwise, insert the hook into the same stitch, and instead of yarning over, I'm yarning under and pulling up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 to make a single crochet. And then I make another single crochet on top of that one by inserting the hook into the left strand, and instead of yarning over, I'm yarning under again, pulling through, yarn over again in the normal way, and pull through 2. And this stitch, let's work to the other end so you can see how it looks when it's compared to all the other stitches in the row. Alright, I've worked to the end of the row, and I did complete the last stitch. And what I was working into, this stitch right here, is the one that was the 2 single crochets stacked on top of each other, stacked one on top of the other, but they were done with the yarn over on every stroke. Now, what I'm going to do is show you again how I did the yarn under version. So I take out my hook and put it back in from back to front, and then I turn the work clockwise. Insert the hook in the same stitch I just made, yarn under, pull up a loop, then yarn over to make a single crochet. And then add one single crochet on top of that, insert the hook into the leftmost strand, yarn under, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. Now there we have the two single crochets, one on top of the other, but they look different than this one down here. Can you see the difference? I'll work to the end and show you what it looks like when we work into the last one we made. And I have now worked to the end, minus one stitch. I still have to work into this turning stitch, but I just want you to look and see how that yarn under version looks compared to the yarn over version, which is, here's one down here. Alright, now to work the last stitch, I'm working into this yarn under stacked stitch that I made. It's very easy. Yarn over, insert your hook under the two strands of the V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through two, yarn over again, pull through two. Okay. So the intent is that the beginning stitches and the ending stitches of each row look the same as all the stitches in the middle of the row. And I believe that this method accomplishes that better than any of the other options that we've worked on throughout this entire little rectangle. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching.